War is raging, government is stealing our freedom, food processing plants are burning, and gun sales are through the roof. You're in the right place. This is The Prepared Mind.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back. Or is it welcome me back to the Prepared Mind channel, talking SHTF, all things wild and crazy going on in the world. I have been gone for a week. I intended, hoped, planned, wished, prayed that I'd be able to do some broadcasts, but it was an epic trip of wildness. I flew from Florida to California to participate in and witness my son getting married, which took an incredible amount of time and energy. Oh my goodness. I can't share too much more in the way of details. And then I went on a top secret mission looking for Bigfoot. I went over to the coastal mountains and went to Crescent City, and then up into the Redwood Forest. Couldn't find any Ewoks, but then went through the Hoopa Reservation and went on a Bigfoot hunt. Came around the curve once, and there was this big brown thing on the side of the road. Nope, not Bigfoot. It just happened to be a bear. First bear I've ever seen in the wild in my life. I've looked and looked, but bears, like Bigfoot, are elusive. But I was able to sneak up on this one. In any event, then it was back over and out and home. And here I am at the Prepared Mind Studios, ready to talk to you guys about what has been happening. Obviously, or maybe it's not obvious, but I've kept up on a daily basis. Wake up a few minutes early while sipping some coffee, go through the news, stay caught up and current. The world is definitely in a flux. And minus the L as well. It is fucked up. And I miss talking to you guys about it. It's kind of weird not doing a show every day, twice a day. And I really miss doing the zoo, which is always a great way to start off the week. But it has been a week. It has been a week of being gone. And it is good to be back. A lot of people that I was communicating with were worried that something crazy was going to happen to me in California. But nope. I only ran into a couple of communists, several dumbass Democrats. It was kind of funny, but unscathed back. Saw a guy wearing a Make America Great Again hat in the airport, and not a person said a word to him. He was kind of a nerdy, skinny dude too. I thought, boy, you got some balls. And then I realized they're basically testicleless there anyways, all the Democrats. Still, I was just keeping an eye on them, make sure no one harassed them, and go stick up for them. In any event, let's do it. Let's get into the questions. Today is Thursday, and I'm back. So get your questions down below, your thoughts, your ideas, and I'll answer everything that I can, short of putting people in harm's way. In any event, I also want to start off today. It is Juneteenth, and I'm celebrating this because all the slaves were freed officially about this time of June, right? And I want to say especially that the poor Irish slaves, they were freed. They were slaves in America longer than the kidnapped, sold, and delivered African slaves that came to America. Yep. I want to know, why doesn't anyone acknowledge the Irish being enslaved and sent to America? And what about slaves and indentured servants from other European nations? I don't hear any of them asking for reparations. No. I think they're just happy to be free. Right? And they were slaves for life, these Irish. Oh, yeah. Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy stuff. So let's get into some World War III type stuff. What's going on in World War III? What do we got, man? We got Israel and Iran. Yeah. What about Does everyone remember Ukraine? Weren't we supposed to be fighting in Ukraine? Our sons and daughters need to go over there and fight Russia. Remember that shit? Yeah, Ukraine, that's right. Wasn't there this little homosexual named Zelensky running the show? And he's a puppet of NATO and a puppet of the European Union and a puppet of the World Economic Forum. Well, guess what? He is now going the way of the dodo. NATO has told Zelensky he will have a limited participation in next week's summit at The Hague. The Hague is just a big stupid building in Europe that makes it sound important. It's kind of like saying the Wiener Schnitzel or the Denny's. In Europe, they have The Hague. Anyways, folks, as far as I'm concerned, Ukraine as a war is over. Zelensky is the loser as far as these very elites are. He's not an elite. He's just a loser. The Ukraine people, they've been slaughtered. I call it genocide. Because now no one's going to remember any of that stuff. The table has been cleaned off. Cleaned off. The world is going to focus on Iran and Israel. And Z-Man, the butt pirate, I think he's going to find himself dead very, very soon. I think it's about time. He is lost. The people lost. The military lost. The weapons lost. The technology lost. Ukraine, I'm sorry, Russia did not fall, falter, or fail. They're Russia. They don't lose when you get into that area. I'm not saying they're invincible. I'm just saying they don't lose. And I'm glad, I am though glad, that nuclear weapons were never used. I'm glad of that. But folks, they just switched the focus, and they can always light up Ukraine again. If Zelensky were to get, say, a tactical nuclear weapon and ignite it, detonate it somewhere in Ukraine, and then blame Russia and get everyone all fired up again, or it may scare the hell out of everyone. What do you think would happen if Zelensky detonated a nuke inside or just outside of Kiev? Or what if the little bastard launched it into Russia, into the general vicinity of the Kremlin or Moscow? What would you think that would do? Crazy business, folks. Crazy, crazy business. Welcome back, one and all, to the Prepared Mind channel. We're going to go back to business as usual. Tomorrow, we will do the Free-for-All Friday. Sunday, we will do the Zoo. And then starting Monday, I will resume with Zero Dark 30 as we dig into this advanced scenario that is playing out. Now, back here domestically in the United States, SCOTUS, affectionately known as Scrotum, the Supreme Court, has decided it's going to uphold a Tennessee law. In other words, it's saying Tennessee is not violating the Constitution. And what is it that Tennessee did? Well, for minors, they decided they were going to ban sex change operations, medication, and treatment for minors, for children. For children. It is still, to me, one of the most awful, horrifying things to do to a child, which is to gaslight them, lie to them, manipulate them into believing they're not what they are. I mean, look, for you and I, right? Whether you're Hispanic or Asian or white or black or brown or whatever color, pick a color, right? To lie to somebody to the extent they don't believe who they are, they don't like who they are, and they want to change who they are so dramatically that they'll literally mutilate themselves. It's unbelievable. I mean, what if someone lied to me my whole life and kept telling me I was Mexican? I guess I would think I was Mexican. Maybe talk like, act like. But everyone would always know I'm not a Mexican. Right? Even if I tan my skin and wore a sombrero, right? I'd still be fooling myself and lying to myself about who I am. But that's what they love doing, as well as, well, sterilizing and putting these kids in a situation, changing their hormones. They commit suicide. They commit murder. It's awful. So I'm glad the Supreme Court has done their job properly for once. Properly. Now, you want to know who else does things properly? Democrats. You bet they do. Democrats, well, what they do properly is they make us recognize and acknowledge their retardation. Oh, you bet. It's some hilarious shit. They hold hearings, investigations, they have committees, and they always try and play gotcha and put the Republican in a bad light and then try and make them look bad. And every time they get made to look like fucking fools. So this week, a bitchy Democrat senator, and I'm not talking about Hirono from Hawaii. She is full on retard. But this other one, this bitchy Democrat senator sniveled because Pete Hegseth replied to her gotcha question and made her look stupid. And she didn't like the look on his face either during her interrogation, right? After being asked a stupid question, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth quipped, remarked, responded with a smirk. She was trying to get him into a gotcha situation, right? And he says, I believe your time is up, Senator, meaning he was watching the clock. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? We're supposed to be very conscientious of the clock. And so her response, she got mad. She goes, oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up, said Senator Rosen. But her time was up, and the nasty bitch said, I yield back, and I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense. Well, I've got to tell you, I approve of Pete Hegseth's humor and the way he treated him. Because all they do is insult. You know, they try and tell the witnesses what to do, and I get it. They are elected representatives. It's their committee. It's their hearing. It's Congress. They're in charge. But it's just funny when they get a taste of their own medicine, right? They're trying to insult people, and they get insulted back, right? And that's how it started years and years ago. But then the Democrat rhetoric became more threatening, more violent. And here we are today with senators, congresswomen, men, whatever the fuck they are, at the federal, state, and yes, even elected representatives at the local level and law enforcement are encouraging violence. I expected while I was gone for there to be more violence than there was. I guess they're going to have to turn it up. I guess they're really going to have to start paying some people some money. But I also think, the violence is coming, folks. The violence is coming. Where do we go with that? Well, how about this? A military lieutenant. No, I'm not going to call them military. They're part of the military. Hey, I even tried joining before I became a Marine. The Coast Guard. Right? A Coast Guard lieutenant, an officer, who was also a sharpshooter, according to them, also claims to be Antifa. This guy, this lieutenant in the Coast Guard, has been arrested because he threatened to kill President Trump. So he was arrested. But guess what? He was released, and he was ordered on home detention. You, sir, you go home right now, and you stay there. Luckily, he doesn't have access to, President Trump, but you take someone who said, and apparently as a sharpshooter, right, and let him go, they're gonna do. They promise to be good, right? I thought no one is above the law. No one's above the law. None of the January 6th protesters came out and used the words, I'm going to kill the president. None of the January 6th protesters came out and said, I'm going to go kill congressmen, senators. None of them came out and said, this is an insurrection, we're taking over. No one. But they were arrested, denied all of their rights, and held for years without charges, many of them. But this motherfucker gets arrested for a direct threat to the president, a clear violation of law, a crime, and he's sent home on detention. I thought no one is above the law. Isn't that the case? No one's above the law. So this Coast Guard sharpshooter is part of a terrorist group called Antifa. It's not just an idea. It's not a fun club. They're extremely violent and anti-American. Oh, by the way, in Portland, Antifa was exceptionally violent. Yes, they were. Yeah, on the West Coast. How can this guy, though, this officer in the Coast Guard, how can he be in the military, an officer, and also be anti-American and part of an extremely violent terrorist organization? Total embarrassment for the Coast Guard. And once again, we've learned exactly who left-wingers are. They're absolute shit. Absolute shit. Now, I mentioned Antifa and I mentioned, well, Portland. Well, so I was up near the Oregon border, and I was really shocked. I thought this was just local news, and then it turned out to be national news. Really? You know, a true story here, folks. In Oregon, the state House of Representatives hosted a drag queen show. Not in a chamber, not in a committee room, on the House floor. And they had a resolution to, quote, recognize and honor Oregon's rich history of black drag. Now, a state is recognizing an ethnic ceremony of homosexual black men who like to dress as women. I didn't know that black drag is part of any state's history, much less Oregon's history. And I didn't know that black drag faggotry is rich or could be rich. They literally said that. They want to recognize and honor Oregon's rich history of black drag. Last time I listened to and heard anything about Oregon, and this is a fact, the complaint was there's not enough black people in Oregon. As in, Oregon is extremely white. As in, there's really not a reason for black people to be there, and I don't know what that reason could have been anyways. But they said they've never gone to Oregon, right? They don't like Oregon, and I don't know why. But rich history of drag faggotry, black drag faggotry, right? They need a holiday. I mean, if it's so rich, if it's so common, if it's such a big part of history, no, it's pure vile bullshit, and it's evil. Having drag queen dancers in the state house. Fuck it, Democrats. Why not sacrifice a baby right there while you're at it? This is the left, folks. They're anti-decency, anti-law and order. Hell, they're anti-life. In fact, socialism and, well, in America, that's Democrats, but world socialism is just fucking evil. It's communism. It's socialism. And now, folks, the UK, the United Kingdom, while we're talking about leftism, it's anti-life. You might even say the United Kingdom, England, is anti-white life. And what do I mean about that? Well, the Parliament has voted to make late-term abortions up to the moment of birth legal. Up to the moment of birth, you can kill your baby in England. Now, why did I say this is anti-white life? Well, because Muslims don't have abortions, folks. So you know who this law is intended for. It's intended for the white liberals in England to kill themselves. And while we're on that note, let me make this clear. With all these American liberal women screaming that they love murdering children, they love murdering their unborn babies, that it's not life until they say it is. And even then, if you're a Republican, you should die. They should be able to kill you, right? So when you think about it, the left has been killing so many of their own babies. You would think that they wouldn't be close to the majority, yet they are. Well, the reason they get around that, killing themselves off and still managing to have more, is because of propaganda, brainwashing, social pressure, aka social engineering, which encompasses education, right? Everything. It's education, psychological battery and manipulation, and then social pressure. That is social engineering. So that's why even the homosexuals can't reproduce, nor can trannies. Why their numbers keep growing is because they're brainwashing, putting social pressure on, psychological pressure. They're social engineering the youths, but it's not working well enough. Hence the need for an illegal alien population / invasion. That is going to persist and continue unless something is done permanently. Permanently. Wow. I tell you, there's so much going on. Get your questions, your comments, please, down below. It's good to be back. Good to be talking to you guys. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and what's on your mind. Ooman is here. You bet, as usual. And I'm glad that he was able to, he handled the show, right? 6 days, Ooman, you handled the show? Yeah. He's saying, yeah, whatever, John. All right. You know what I keep hearing over the last couple of days? I keep hearing that the FBI and the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, that they join forces like mini lion bots to make one big lion bot. They join forces and they're going to hold accountable those people and organizations that financed all the riots, all the terrorism in Los Angeles. I think this has been reported for about a week now that the IRS and the FBI are on it. Before they announced that, they already knew. It was already being reported. Exactly the people, exactly the groups. They arrested some dumb punk communist sack of shit for handing out gas masks and other equipment. But the bricks, the Democrat Party itself has delivered bricks, not for a job, not for a permit, not for a road repair, not for a building construction, just delivering. And where is this, right? Have you seen any arrests from the FBI and the IRS? Have you seen any politicians arrested or bureaucrats? Have you seen any non-government organization, NGO leaders arrested? Well, if you haven't now, I do not recommend you hold your breath. This is more FBI, Attorney General bullshit. It's just to make us feel like something's happening. When they go, there's an investigation, and then we just turn and walk away. We're like, yeah, they got this. Investigation coming. No problem. They got it. No, nothing's going to fucking happen. Nothing. I'm sick of these fucking losers and the Republicans. I'm beyond sick at Democrats. Just the disgust I have for those people. But the Republicans, they're just more than happy to do nothing. You know why? It's not because they're necessarily ultimately evil. They're not calling for the death of America. They're just willing to let it happen. They've taken the money. Yep. They've taken the benefits, whatever that benefit is. They've put themselves in situations where they're compromised. And so they're going to do as they're told. They're all good little bitches, folks. And that is why you need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Get prepared. These people will do nothing to save America. They'll do nothing to save our Constitution. They'll do nothing to fix the law and order issue. I mean, we've got some things happening, but Congress, not a fucking thing. It is the Trump administration and only those institutions where the leadership he appointed has any balls whatsoever. Tom Homan is doing some good stuff. Kristi Noem is doing some good stuff. I guess she's been hospitalized. Hopefully she gets better. Let's see. Who else have we got? Pete Hegseth is doing some good stuff. We have the Make America Healthy Again guy, old Kennedy. He's doing some stuff, but at the same time, I keep hearing that they're introducing all kinds of radical shit in our food. Have you heard about this, man? The shit they're putting in the food, and I mean, they're telling us about some of it, but from the medications and drugs, and now the left, folks. Oh yeah, did you, man? Have you heard that ivermectin causes sterility? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're reporting that and trying to scare people that if you take that, you'll go sterile. Oh yeah. Let's see, they've been giving it to animals and humans for decades, but now it'll sterilize you. Oh, this was disgusting. I did read this today. I got off the plane. They tested hamburgers and hot dogs. Hot dogs, folks. Not only did they test hot dogs and find human DNA in there, I think somewhere from 2 to 5% was the number. But get this. They also found human DNA in, drum roll please, vegetarian meats. How the fuck does that happen? Right? How do you get human DNA in vegetarian, sludge? I'm curious. I'm starting to believe some of the crazy ass, wild-eyed conspiracy theories about the evil people in charge of this world taking dead human bodies and processing them. And you take in order to put humans in vegetarian meat, you have to grind up vegetarian humans. There you go. It's ground vegetarian. They're not meat. They're fucking plants, right? Well, then so are cows by that standard. Yeah, cows, they eat vegetables or at least vegetation, but they turn it into meat. Yeah, anyways, this whole thing, I'm starting to wonder if they actually are doing the blade thing, right? Cutting up humans, grinding them up, and feeding them to us. I don't know where to go to eat anymore. Because sometimes I walk through the meat department and I look at all the pork chops. That's not quite red meat. It's more like pink meat. It's the other white meat, pork. And what did the pygmies, the wild pygmies, and other cannibal tribes call humans? Long pig. Yep. Crazy business, folks. Crazy business. Now, let's get off of the subject of eating humans for food. Yeesh. Hot dogs, hamburgers. They're trying to fuck it. Trump. Israel, Iran, war. He has a quote, and I think this is bullshit, but it's typical Trump. He says, quote, "Next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week." He's referring to the United States government and military participation in what's happening over there between Israel and Iran. Now, here's the deal. Whether you like Iran or not, if they get bombed, you can expect them to retaliate. And same with Israel or any other country. It's just odd, though, don't you think? That Israel attacks Iran, Iran responds, and now the United States wants to do something very big. I mean, what do you all think? Do you think we're going to get nuclear World War III? Do you think we're going to get the United States military in the battle and limited military engagement? Now, I understand, folks. Look, when it comes to Iran as a theocracy, as a Muslim theocracy, a religious, radical, wacky fucking bunch of leaders, this Khomeini fella, right? I don't want them to have a fucking nuke. I think they already do, though. I think they already have some. I wouldn't be surprised in the least. But they haven't launched it. They have launched some really exciting, cool weapons and some hypersonic weapons, and they apparently still have a whole lot more. I don't like them, and I certainly don't like Israel having nuclear weapons either, because they seem more than too happy to go to war with people. And I know people say that about the United States, but since Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Americans haven't launched any nuclear weapons that anyone knows of. In any event, is the United States just going to supply materials and weapons? Or are American boots going to be put on the ground and Trump openly becomes Israel's lapdog and bitch? A lot of people think the latter. A lot of people think Trump is going to rope-a-dope the Israelis and not give them what they want. We're going to find out. And speaking of the Iranians who are getting picked on, and the Israelis, they claim victim status and everything, of course. But get this, Whoopi Goldberg, that's right, Black Jabba the Hutt, Whoopi Goldberg of The View, is just being criticized and made fun of and shit on by, well, Iranian refugees in America, Iranian transplants, Iranian descendants. Why are they mad at Whoopi? Because, well, she said black people living in the U.S. are as oppressed as the people of Iran. Yeah. So you see, Democrats are so accustomed to being the victims of racism and oppression. They can't stand having anyone else be in that position. They want to be number one, right? All these people who want victim status. So I asked the question, did Whoopi appropriate Iran's situation for herself? Because this famous, rich, fat black bitch is so oppressed that she can't stand it when another country is attacked. It's fucking comically stupid. Anyway, let's have some more fun, but it is your turn. It's past the half hour. You guys have been, it's terrible. You've been silent for too long. So let's give you a voice. We're going to do the inner circle. And we're back. It is Thursday. I'm back from my son's wedding. I hate flying. Boy, do I hate flying. Made it without event. Didn't cause any trouble, even though the airline I flew had a pride flag hanging up in one of their terminals. Fucking retards. Anyways, I guess you have to do what you have to do when you have to fly. I guess I didn't request that the terminal not have one, but I felt oppressed. All right, Mr. Uman, you, sir, are invited to read your own questions, or I'll read it for you. Right. Here we go. Uman says, I saw a compilation of Netanyahu and Israel claiming Iran was less than a year away from getting the bomb, meaning an atom bomb, a nuclear bomb. And that has spanned 30 or more years, 30 plus years. Back in the early 80s, Israel actually flew over and bombed a nuclear facility in the early 80s. That was 40 years ago. And yes, ever since then, almost on a yearly basis, Israel claims that Iran is just a few months away, literally. They're just a few months away from having a bomb. They're just a few months away from it. We can't let them have a bomb. They're a few months away from having the bomb. It's incredible. Now, how long does it take to make a bomb? They've had 40 years and they still haven't got it right. Makes you wonder, right? Makes you wonder. Like I said, I don't want these crazy Muslim jihadi, just crazed in the head retards with nuclear weapons. But guess who has nukes? Pakistan. India. Oh, Israel does too, folks. Israel does. You know they have something called the Samson Plan? I may not be referring to that exactly correctly. It's a Samson program, a Samson strategy. And what that is that if they're attacked in such a way that they are crippled as a nation, destroyed, that they send all of their nuclear warheads out. And guess who is one of the targets? The United States of America. How could the United States of America be targeted by our closest ally? How can our closest ally, Israel, target us? Because we're really not their ally. All nations don't give a shit about anyone. And the Israelis are no better, folks. It is not the nation of Israel from the Bible. That's just a name they took. They are no more, in my opinion, Israel than the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay are pirates. I don't like any of these people, folks. I really don't. I don't like any of them because they're all violent and they do everything they can to hurt us, me and you, right? Whether it's directly hurting us, indirectly through government policy, through monetary policy, through social programs, social engineering, brainwashing, propaganda. All of these countries, all of Europe, Israel, everyone, China. Oh, China's bad too, folks. They're fucking awful. But here we are. Shit is hitting the fan. Are you prepared? The violence could come from illegals, jihadis, fruitcakes, or our own government. You have to be prepared. Ooh, man, who's up next? We've got Redneck Roughneck. And he says, I think they will drop them bunker busters before Iran closes that Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is a body of water that goes from the Persian Gulf into the Red Sea and connects with the Mediterranean, Europe, via the Suez Canal. So the Strait of Hormuz is kind of like the Strait of Gibraltar, right? It's a narrow passageway. And that narrow passageway gives one side or the other, geographically, an increased measure of control over that body of water. So the Strait of Hormuz, Iran wants to shut it, or claiming that they can shoot and sink anything in there. Well, the Strait of Hormuz is responsible for food and fuel, oil, right? Energy. So if they were to close it, that would be cause for the United States of America to go over there and in defense of our own national security, right? And as well as that of the world, free trade, being able to trade freely without the interference, then guess what? I think they will. Because the supreme leader of Iran is apparently in hiding in some bunker. But they've killed Ahmadinejad and many other in the Iranian top guard. But it's not like they're geniuses. And it's not like there's a shortage of wacko, radical Muslims out there in the Middle East. They'll just replace whoever got killed with some other wacko idiot. So I have no faith that they're going to learn to behave. And speaking of that, Redneck Roughneck, dropping bunker busters, I think that'll happen. The CIA is already heavily engaged in propaganda and starting a revolution in Iran. They already have the royal family all set up to step back in. I believe it's the Shah of Iran's son. Maybe his grandson, but he looks more like his son to me, age-wise. Just depends on how old the picture is. If it's an older picture, it's definitely his son. Or if it's if it's a younger son, someone, a grandson my age, right? He's looking a little rough, but still, they've got the replacement already set up. The Shah of Iran, they're calling him a prince, a crown prince. They're going to bring in there and put him in charge of Persia. Now, why is this critical to the United States of America? Because Iran has an enormous amount of oil, energy. And energy is a standard of living. Energy is how we live today. Energy. So that's why the United States has always been against Iran being taken over. It was 1979 when there was the Iranian Revolution. They threw the Shah out of power, deposed him, if you will, and started their religious theocracy there. And ever since then, not only in Iran, but the rest of the world, right, this Muslim shit has gone off the fucking hook. I think it was allowed. I think it was intentionally done to create strife. And here we are. Here we are. Mike Cruz Sr. says, John, do you think that gas prices are going up due to the war in the Middle East? The answer is absolutely no. The reason gas prices are going up is because the oil price is going up, not because of a shortage, but because of fear, right? And in reality, Mike, you are correct. They're going up to the war in the Middle East, the threat of greater war, the threat of, ships being sunk, oil, stop flowing, ports being closed. Yeah, That's why they're going up. That's the physical reality. But the real reason the prices are going up is because, well, Israel and the World Economic Forum want higher energy costs. And let me tell you why. Because the lower the cost of energy, the better you live. Did you know that? Your quality of life goes up if energy is less expensive. Do you think that the government in Europe or the government in America wants you to live a good life? If the answer is yes, you believe that, then you have to ask yourself, why are they trying to poison us with drugs and shitty food and medications? Right? And by drugs, I meant things like fentanyl or cocaine or whatever. Yeah, they import those. The government imports that shit. Right? But they're making our life fucking miserable socially. They tried locking us down. They want to take our fucking rights. They want us invaded by foreigners. You can't make the argument that that the world leadership wants us better off. No. So they want a higher cost of living, higher energy cost. They still make their money, folks. The super wealthy, they get their money. They don't care if they have to buy a barrel of oil at $60 or $160 because they're going to turn around and sell it to you. Value added, right? At a rate of 220. They'll get their fucking money one way or the other. But what they take away from you is your ability to live well, to have money left over at the end of a paycheck, to go on vacation, to buy nice clothes, to have a decent car. They want to take all that away from you so you can't travel very far or do very much. They want you literally financially oppressed. So that's why the gas prices are going up, because the bastards in the United Nations, the European Union, the World Economic Forum, the Vatican, City of London, Washington, D.C., etc., the bankers, the Wall Street financiers, they couldn't give a shit about you. In fact, they want you oppressed, all of us. All right, Mr. Uman, who's up next? Thank you, Mike. Great question there, sir. We're rolling on with Badass Diving Frog checking in today. He says, John, I say back away from Israel and the whole boatload of bullshit and let them go at it and keep us out of it. I agree. The sentiment I share with many is we've had enough fucking wars. In my lifetime, Vietnam, all the terror attacks of the 80s, the Gulf War, the second Gulf War, all of the secret little wars that you guys and most of us have no fucking clue about, right? Then we have the Desert War, then we have Afghanistan, right? There's no fucking peace. And Israel wants either their way or the Armageddon way. And again, if they start to lose, they got their Samson plan, their Samson directive, their Samson initiative, whatever that thing is called, where they just launch all their shit at everyone. No, by the way, Israel wanted nuclear weapons technology from the United States of America. Do you know who was president when they wanted this? John F. Kennedy. You know who told them no? You can't have nuclear weapons? John F. Kennedy. And just a few months later, you know who died? One more coincidence, right? John F. Kennedy. He wanted to get out of the Vietnam conflict, the Vietnam War. Didn't want to expand it. He wanted to alter the way the U.S. currency was being done. He wanted to start printing United States reserve notes, right? He stopped the Bay of Pigs invasion and the war with Cuba. Well, he was also double crossing, if you can believe that, the Italian mafia. Yeah, he was involved, and he denied the Israelis their nuclear weapons. And well, after that, they got them. Every country on the world is required to submit to the nuclear weapons investigations or inspections. I think that's the IAEA. And except Israel, they don't. They don't submit to that. They don't allow it. Yet somehow they're the country we should all worship. I don't care about them any more than I care about any other country. I just want freedom for everybody in every country. Liberty. Not this bullshit that's going on. Anyways, Diving Frog, great topic. That's a boatload of bullshit. And I say we have nothing to do with any of it. But, I watched Trump's body language. He was meeting with Netanyahu. And interestingly, they stood up. Netanyahu turned towards Trump as if he was expecting Trump to say something. Trump turned his back on Bibi, made some comments. Then he turned back around and re-engaged Bibi in discussion. But I thought it was an interesting, from a socio-political standpoint, right? Socio-poli-sci perspective, that he would do something like that, turn his back on Netanyahu just for a few moments. And the look on Netanyahu's face was puzzling. He looked puzzled. Right? He had a queer expression. All right. Hey, Mr. Uman, we've got a good crowd here on this Thursday, and I want to say I'm glad to be back with you guys. Uman says they're actually arresting Antifa in Portland this week. That's correct. That is correct. Not local police. They're not local police doing the arrest. It is federal law enforcement agents that are there. I really think that the National Guard should be brought in, and they should baton these little fuckers within an inch of their life. That's my opinion. I wish the Marines could go in there and practice their piñata skills. It would be nice, because these Antifa punks, folks, they're literally anti-American, anti-life, anti-freedom, communist, hardcore communist bitches. I don't agree with everyone's lifestyle. If you want to suck a dick, go suck a dick. Right? That's fine. If you want to be a fruitcake, be a fruitcake. That's fine. I don't care. But when you make it your mission to hurt children or steal freedoms or destroy a country and destroy property, that's when that really crosses the fucking line. And I think you should just be rubbed out, erased. And I think government, with respect to Antifa and these violent trans people and these violent Democrats in office that are calling for violence, I don't think I think the government's too kind to them. Like I said, we got this fucking asshole officer in the military threatening to assassinate President Trump, and he's let out of jail and allowed to go home on home detention, as if, what, you can trust a criminal? Hell, if I was this guy, his life is ruined. His career as an officer's over. He's done. He may as well put on a fucking disguise, drive to Washington, and use his sharpshooter skills to try to kill whoever he can, including the president, right? He could do that and say, what the fuck? What does he care? Right? He could write a manifesto and a note saying, I'm going to the Aleutian Islands, which are off the coast of Alaska. Going to hide there, or with respect to his location, right? Wherever he needs to go to, and then just drive to DC. You never know with these fucking people. They aren't the smartest. Hence, they're getting caught left and right. I tell you, though, folks, the judges in this country, it's unbelievable, right? Another insurrection judge, appointed by Biden, of course, is trying to block Trump, or rather the Department of Homeland Security, from deporting yet another massive criminal. This guy is a gang member from El Salvador, multiple convictions, including murder. But this judge wants to keep him in this country. Democrats and their judges are evil, vile slime. And I think that whatever happens, they should share in the responsibility. If they let these people go into the public, if they allow them to stay in the country and they commit another crime, I think that these judges and prosecutors that don't prosecute should be charged with the same crime. Right? Just like if you want to drive a car and you're drunk, and I get in the car with you knowing you're drunk, and then we decide to go rob a bank, I'm an accessory. Even though, well, you're the one that drove. It was your idea. Well, you participated, right? These guys, these judges and prosecutors and Democrats are accessories to the crime, both before and after. All right, let's continue. Ooman, where are we going to roll? We got about 10 minutes left here at the end of the show. That's plenty of time to talk about some good topics. And it's U.S. Viking Warrior. Good to be following you on X, amigo. And he says, Oregon demo rats have a super majority since vote by mail became law. Gee, I wonder why. This country is in ruination because Pam Bondi is a complete loser, sellout, sycophant, sack of shit. Same with Kash Patel. And I'm going to throw in Dan just because he hasn't done a fucking thing. He hasn't had the good sense or decency to fucking resign. Chinese company, folks. China is now guilty, been found guilty. Evidence of printing ballots for the 2020 election, sending them to America, these ballots being put in different states. One area alone had 300,000 more votes on paper than they had voters. Oregon is just one of them. Oregon is just one of them, Viking Warrior. But they've got this evidence. Why aren't Democrats being arrested hand over fist? Right? Why is that screwy bitch in Colorado free, the Secretary of State, while the nice little old lady who's a Blue Star mom sits in jail for exposing her crimes? Why hasn't Trump freed Tina Peters? Why hasn't he given her a pardon? Old lady's at the end of her life, she lost a child in war. That's how you get to be a Blue Star mom. She worked in the election. She uncovered and exposed. She is a whistleblower. You're supposed to have protection as a whistleblower. She's been arrested. Well, it's a Jenna, whatever, Griswold. Right? These Democrats cheat. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, California, of course. California's you wouldn't believe, folks, the shit I saw. The amount of charred forests in California is worse than I could have imagined. It was fucking awful. All of Northern California, from the Nevada border over to the ocean, and then back and then across the Sierras, everywhere that I traveled, just destroyed forests. Fucking Newsom. They're all scum. All right, enough of that. Let's continue if we shall. Oh, by the way, I had some amazingly delicious Mexican food. Florida does not have Mexican food the way Mexicans really make Mexican food. It was pretty funny, though. We had a good waiter. His name was Luis at Mazatlan in Redding, California. And he goes, I said something. I go, you guys losing workers in California? Are you okay? He says, hey, man, I'm here legally. I got my card, or he's born here, whatever he said. He was pretty funny. Cool guy. But, man, talk about good Mexican food. Oh, man, who's up next? We got Deplorable Yankee Redneck. And he's talking about General Wesley Clark and his publicly made televised speech. It was more of an admission, almost like a confession of what the military is doing and has planned. Talked about a list of countries to be taken over, and Iran is the last one. And this was done by Obama. Yankee Redneck says, list one thing all the countries had in common. They weren't part of the world banking system. Correct. It was North Korea, Libya, Syria, Iran. I can't remember the others offhand, but those are the big ones, right? And we've seen that. We've seen North Korea. North Korea is still not part of the New World Order's banking thing. Trump came into office and shut that shit down, the war that was supposed to start with North Korea. He shut down the fighting with Iran in his first term, but now Israel is pushing it. I don't see that as the same push, Yankee Redneck. They did do Libya. Of course, Libya was done pre-Obama, and they started on Syria during the Obama administration. Afghanistan, of course, Iran, or rather Iraq. But yeah, now it looks like they're getting after Iran. Now, here's the deal. If they take over Iran with a CIA Arab Spring, right? They're going to call it students are revolting, women are revolting, whatever. If they take it over, will Iran join the Western banking cartel system? I will give that a 95% yes. I don't think that Iran would get rid of the Ayatollah Khomeini type guy and the crazed radical jihad revolutionary guard. I don't think they're going to do that and then stay with Russia. But then again, stranger things have happened, haven't they? Stranger things have happened. What a world. What a shit show. Welcome to SHTF, folks. The only thing we're not doing is standing outside our front doors and picking communists off as they walk down the street trying to pick us off. But keep your powder dry, keep your boots handy, in your night vision, keep your batteries well charged because we may get our chance. Wow, I tell you, folks, what a freaking world. When I say the world, the stupidity here is incredible. Like you all are sitting there, just like I sit here, and you read stuff and you go, how can you be that fucking stupid? Literally. But it's real. They are that stupid. Like, for example, the commie moron, spy screwing, cheating, sleazebag representative Democrat of California, Eric Swallowswell. He is demanding that the California Attorney General prosecutes the law enforcement who removed Senator Alex Padilla in Washington, D.C. from the press conference where he was charging at Kristi Noem, director of the, I hate this organization. Department of Homeland Security. Anyways, this fucking idiot wants the California Attorney General to go after these cops. Well, number one, Washington, D.C. is not California. It's not in California jurisdiction. In fact, in Washington, D.C., they exercise independent jurisdiction. So the Attorney General would be fucking pointless and retarded to even try. But Eric Swallowswell is a Democrat, and the Attorney General, I'm sure, is an idiot Democrat. But they would have better luck suing Iran or suing North Korea because they're foreign and sovereign jurisdictions with respect to California as well. That's how stupid these people are. All right, man, let's finish it up with Redneck Roughneck. And he's talking about Senator Moron Padilla from California as well, who was arrested for charging at, that's right, the director of the Department of Homeland Security, in a conference. He did not announce he was a senator when he broke into the room. He didn't announce that. He just broke in and started acting like a wild, loudmouth, fucking stupid Democrat lunatic. And then he went on TV and cried like a pussy. And then all the other senators and congressmen were like, we're not going to have and tolerate this kind of behavior. How dare you arrest one of us? It was ridiculous shit. And so Redneck Roughneck says, after watching Padilla tell his story, shedding tears, I think he should be nominated for an Oscar. Seems like every Democrat is out for their 15 minutes in the spotlight blocking ICE agents. Yes. And also, interestingly, I think it's probably important to note that this is what they've been reduced to. And I don't know whether it's going to continue to get worse for the Democrats. They don't have a political platform other than murder babies, cut off the genitals of children, rape them, expose everybody to fucking drag queens and fruitcakes with their fruitcake flags, destroy the military, destroy the education system, destroy us financially, monetarily, economically. Yeah, I mean, apart from all that, right, really, they don't have any more power to do any more now, right? That's being corrected and fixed slowly. But the best they can do, Redneck, the best they can do is throw themselves in front of a camera while committing a crime, protecting illegal criminals. You know what the justification was I heard the other day? That, well, crossing the border illegally is just like a moving violation. It's just a citation. It's not a crime. It's a citation. No, it's an international border. That's a fucking crime. Right? If you smuggle cocaine in your anus and you get caught over the border, is that just a citation? Is murder a citation? Right? I love how they justify everything down and they try and dismiss it. That's all they've got now, is blocking ICE agents and acting like complete fucking idiots. Meanwhile, the Republicans are gutless, spineless, helpless, and fucking hopeless. In any event, it has hit the fan, and I will be back tomorrow with you guys for the Friday Free for All. And then Sunday Night Live, we're going to do the zoo. I'll have the whole weekend to recover and get geared up for what's coming up. And there's a lot more to come, folks. A lot more to come. God bless you all. Semper Fi means always faithful. And get prepared, because chance favors the prepared mind.